Peace and blessings. Welcome back. I am happy to share some of the feedback. That's what I want to do today. Get right to it. I like to get right to it when I start my videos. Oh, please be sure to subscribe because I'm going to be going into some animal behavior from all different levels of animals and comparing them to human behavior. And I think you're going to really enjoy this. It's going to get very interesting. You're going to learn a whole lot. It's going to make you think. So be sure to subscribe so that you can be a part of this. I want to get right into the feedback. I did a whole series, a 5-part series called The Dog in You. And this is a piece of a project that I'm doing called The Animal in You. And my intention is to do all of the animals in Scripture. That's where I want to start. Do all the animals in Scripture. I do research, both Quranic and biblical. Also, I study philosophers. I study nature. But I've been doing this for a long time. I have a method that I use to do it, and it's it's awesome. It's changed my life. So I'm hoping that perhaps it will contribute to your life and change your life. But okay, let's get right to it. So some of the feedback that I received. I'm going to start with the very first comment that was made. To say that Black people's response to racism doesn't match the amount of work we've done is a slap in the face. Our ancestors worked tirelessly to create a better future so that we can live a better life. And this was a comment in response to my first video, The Over-Exaggerator, which was part 1 of The Dog in You, where I explained that the dog's expression of panting and exhaustion doesn't match his effort. So the key thing that this person said in this comment was our ancestors, right? If we were to, we're not talking about our ancestors, and I think this is very important, and I'm glad that this comment came in. Our ancestors, and then there's us, right? So yes, our ancestors worked tirelessly. They gave their lives. They were in it. I mean, they didn't have much of a choice but to fight for their life, and they gave everything that they had so that you and I can live the lives that we're living now. So when they complain, when they are talking about their experiences, it matches the level of work that they put in. My point was that, when we complain, a lot of us complain about being in a racist society or having these experiences with racism that are keeping us back from doing what we really want to do in our lives. But when you start talking about it and you ask people, well, specifically you personally as the individual, and I know I use that word personally as the individual, if you were to go around the room and just have people list, okay, well, how did racism stop you from doing what you wanted to do, and why can't you do that now? Just if you do that, then you'll understand where I was coming from. What our ancestors did for us was incredible. No one here is saying that there's some dog behavior when it comes to our ancestors and all they've done for slavery. And one of the things I'm finding, while teaching like this, because, we were talking about the metaphor of a dog and its behavior in comparison to human behavior, it's going to make you think. And so, I'm an artist, I write, right? And if you're talking about metaphors, even in music and even in poetry, you're going to have to gather your thoughts together and think. And what it's going to do, once you express yourself in response, it's going to show where your thinking comes from, where you're coming from. So you get to kind of see the thinking of people when they have to start thinking metaphorically. You get to see what they come up with when they hear things, and it tells you about that person. It tells you about society, right? So again, this wasn't to say that our ancestors, didn't do what, they were in some situation where they weren't working hard and doing everything they needed to do to come out of slavery and they're just complaining. No, I'm talking about today, and I'm talking about us. If we're going to complain about racism, right, or we're going to say that it is keeping us back, we need to start talking about how our personal experiences. Let's talk about our personal experiences, how it's affecting us directly, how it's keeping us from doing the things we're saying we need to do in our lives, and what we are doing to overcome that. we can't keep leaving that particular thing out. Yes, of course, we do hear from some individuals that are in it. They've been arrested, wrongfully arrested, charged, they're in prison. Those are real stories, and we hear about those stories. But then there's the majority of us, you and I, right? You and me. So that's what I meant by that. The next another comment I got was, dogs and people are not the same. So how is this relevant? So, I expected this type of a response, because, when you're asking someone to think about something, they're either going to think about it and respond with, okay, here's what I think about that, whether they agree, disagree, or what have you. But when a person responds like this, dogs and people are not the same, so how is this relevant? Did you think about anything when you decided to respond, when you heard what was said? Okay, did you think at all about what I was saying? I don't know. I think sometimes people want to be discouraging. They don't want you to say anything that they don't agree with. So you get comments like this. But you're right in the sense that we're not supposed to be the same. Man is supposed to be an elevated creation because of our advanced faculties and abilities. However, we have free will, and we can decide to be and become anything that we want to be or become. And when we're not aware, or we've lost our morals, we will become whatever we're being influenced to become. And I'm sure you've got to see that in today's society. So when you say dogs and people are not the same, how is this relevant? It's making me wonder if you're paying attention, or maybe if you just don't understand. I'm really not sure, but we should definitely be able to see this recreation of human beings recreating themselves and saying, I can be whatever I want to be, right? That's happening. And to behave like an animal or behave like a dog, you can make that decision or not. You can be influenced to behave that way and not even know that it's happening. Okay. So the next comment I got was, are you serious? Yes, I am. And I'm just going to leave that one. I'm just going to leave that one at that, because, okay, are you serious? Now, I'm serious. So to ask me if I'm serious, it just, I don't know, maybe just want to agitate me. It didn't work. I actually laughed a little bit about it. But moving on, the next comment I got back was, to associate people with being a dog is unacceptable. I don't like it. That's what the person said. To associate being a dog is unacceptable, and I don't like it. I 100% disagree, because we've accepted people behaving like dogs in our relationships, in the entertainment industry, and in the streets. We attack each other. We're doing all these things now. If it wasn't accepted, we wouldn't be doing it. So who are you talking about? Is it unacceptable to talk about or to bring up that we're behaving like this? You don't want to hear it. But clearly it's acceptable. This one was a no-brainer. Who are you to judge? This was another one. Who are you to judge? So, when you put yourself out there and you start trying to teach, you start trying to educate people, you start trying to uplift people, you have people that don't like it. They don't want you to say anything if they don't agree with you, right? Who are you to judge? And whenever I hear this, it's, okay, you want my credentials. Whenever people say things like, who are you to judge? They're kind of moving in that direction of, okay, what are your credentials? Who are you to judge? These are people that don't want to think, right? They want to know that you have some sort of, I don't know, degrees or what have you. I could see if it was medicine or something like that, right? But things where I'm asking you to think, right? I'm asking you to think with me. That's real easy. It's real easy to say, well, let me just listen to someone who has, degrees in certain areas. if you're paying attention, what I'm talking about is not that complicated, right? That's why I'm expecting that you can think too, right? We all have brains and that we can use them. So I really am. Now, when I hear people say stuff like that, not just to me, but to other people I know that are teaching, it makes me think that you don't want to think, right? You just don't want to think about it. You'd rather just listen to someone who has these alleged credentials that you're talking about. But again, we're not talking about being a lawyer or a doctor or something like that. Okay, this is teaching nature. These are teaching things that if you're observing, you will see for yourself, and you can think about it. And just like me, you can reach some conclusions that may be useful and maybe teach somebody else. But if you're not interested in that, it's not something you want to do. You could always just watch things that make you feel good. Watch things that have nothing to do with anything that is going to upset you or that is going to that you're not going to agree with. So that is just an observation of mine. So lastly, I think this might be the last one. It may be or maybe not. But here's one that I thought I had actually touched on, but maybe it didn't come across clear. How come you didn't talk about the dog clinging to the earth? So I understand where this comes from because it is an idea from the scripture. But again, I thought it was implied in the video, this nature of a person who behaves like a dog is the person who cannot be elevated. They don't elevate. The reason they don't elevate is because they do cling to the earth, right? So you have to think here. So if you're watching a dog, right, it's constantly sniffing the ground. That seems to be what his focus is. He's attached to it. This is his life, right? This is his life. But for the human being, when we take on this idea of clinging to the earth, right, and not being able to elevate ourselves or pay attention to higher things so that we can become better people or putting ourselves in an improved circumstance, this is when we feel the need to cling to something instead of elevating, like I said. So where are some examples? You could say clinging to material goods instead of or clinging to material things instead of improving our lives. We definitely see that. You end up purchasing different things that you want because they make you feel good, perhaps, I don't know. But then you have these other areas of your life that are not improving because you're not using your money wisely, right? You're spending it on material things you may want instead of areas that you actually need to improve, maybe for your kids, maybe for yourself, your education, or your retirement, whatever, etc. Mooching off of your parents. Still have a lot of that going on. People that, it's fine to live at home. I actually agree with the concept of living at home until you're able to get out there. But you got to get out there. That's the whole point. You're clinging to the home. And another example of this you may have heard, the blood clot, right? This is a social term, actually. It's used in different languages, different backgrounds use this word. It's in American culture, it's in other cultures. And it has different meanings, but this particular idea, clinging to the womb, is also in scripture as well. And instead of coming out into the world and developing and elevating, right, you're staying there. You're stuck in the womb, right? So that's just another example. A person holding on to something for their life for fear of failing, right? There's another concept of clinging to something, not letting go so that you can elevate yourself. And we see that in some of our relationships, right? You're holding on and you're in this stuck place, but you don't leave because you're afraid of failing, right? You don't want to leave. You're clinging. You don't want to leave because who knows what's going to happen to you if you let go, right? These are just some examples. Okay, and so yeah, there was one more. So someone asked me about the B word, the female dog, and actually asked me if I could speak on it and explain it. So let me with these comments and things coming in, I don't profess to to be somebody that's going to be able to just tell you everything and anything. I don't know everything and anything. But I'm a thinker, right? So based on the presentations that you saw, I can speak on it. I think when you asked this question, one of the things I did was I went back to see, okay, people that use this term be, we're talking about the female dog, people that call other people this term, and then you got people that accept to be called this term. Does it match any of the things that we said? So someone that's being called this, or someone that accepts being called this, do they cling to material goods, right? Instead of improving their circumstances in their life, are they the one you see buying all this expensive stuff? These are, I'm not going to answer these questions. You think about it. Is that a person that is often called to be? Is that a person that accepts being called to be? Mooching off people instead of improving, elevating themselves, right? Somebody might say that's a gold digger. Is that and there are other circumstances. Is that a person that would be called to be in our culture, or is that someone that would even accept being called to be? Sleeping around, people that sleep around, women, or I don't know, maybe men. Is this someone that is often called a be? Is this someone that accepts being called to be, or even behaving like a be? Does their expression match their reality? So this is when I say that, and I'm talking about the dog in you in my video, this idea of complaining as if we've been exhausting ourselves to do the work, right? So this person that, how do I want to put this? This person that doesn't commit themselves, right? So we're talking about relationships, committing themselves 100% and fully. That would mean a marriage. Versus the person that is constantly jumping into relationships. Is the work that's done in that way of behaving, right? Sleeping around, versus the work that is done in a marriage relationship. Is that equal? To me, I would say no, definitely not. So this person that does not make a full commitment in a relationship, is this the person that's more likely to be referred to as this term going in and out of these relationships, or not? I don't know. But what I do know is that just from thinking about it and talking it out loud, I do see that, yes, I would agree that oftentimes this behavior, it is a, what do I want to say? It's a circumstance where you'll hear this B word thrown around, right? It is a circumstance. And of course, there are always, alternatives to these things, but we're looking for commonalities, right? We're thinking about commonalities. If you weren't behaving like this, what's the likeliness that you would have someone in your life calling you out of your name, right? That's the question. Now, we could say, oh no, Namat, that is all just a coincidence. I don't know how you're coming up with this. Well, I don't think it's a matter of coming up with it. I think it's a matter of thinking about it, seeing how many commonalities you can find, and then making a decision. Well, maybe there is something to it, right? But, you're always going to have people that they don't want to think. So, bam, they're going to take things at face value, not think about them, and then get angry at you, right? So that was the feedback. I do have to say I did get positive feedback too. Usually when I get positive feedback, though, it's more, thank you for doing this. Way to go, Namat. You're really standing up and speaking your mind. And, I love that you don't just stop doing what you're doing because people say these crazy things to you. And it's usually like kind of cheerleading on. And I do appreciate that because it makes me feel good. I mean, who doesn't like that? But, I never really get a lot of details about, or, someone sharing, okay, when you said that, this is what I thought, this is what it made me feel like. And I kind of want that. I want people to do that. So when people do that, it's normally negative, right? So I do wonder, okay, well, Are people really thinking, or do they just enjoy when you think for them? And then are they open to sharing what they think, or are they going to be embarrassed because it might be something they're not sure if other people will like or what have you? But that's kind of what my channel is. Like, think about it, bring it up, put it out there. You can send me comments on this platform or Namat.net. You can email me there. I'm definitely interested in hearing your thoughts on this. Stay tuned, because the next animal I'm going to be doing is the wolf. And the wolf is the predatory dog. The predatory dog. You've got to hear this. This is some good information. I hope you'll stick around. Again, subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can keep you informed. All right. Thank you.